Hello everyone, it's me, I'm Angel, and I'm back again, and I want to thank everyone for viewing the last video. It was my very first video, and as I continue this journey and this process on trying to put myself here out on a YouTube platform, I'm going to just walk through this process. So if you have any comments, that will be helpful, and I would really appreciate any kind of comments that help, right? So my first video, I was really proud about it because people viewed, and I like this type of platform because you get to view so many of people's perspective on a particular topic, right? And if you're a person who's searching and who wants to find anything, and you say, okay, you know what, let me look at this video, let me see what's going on here, and what does this have to offer, and you look at that video, and a lot of times you might say, okay, you know what, this video is something that you look through because you're really attached to that information. Whatever's being pumped out by that person really connects with your spirit. You will even find yourself sitting through a commercial behind a person's video, and after that you probably plug into another video and you look to see, and maybe you're comparing notes against that, and this is how you're finding yourself out. So I really do want to give a thumbs up to all of the people that talk about this particular topic that I'm talking about, which is spiritual transformation through shadow work. There are many videos that I've seen out there that are really put together very well, that put out very good information. Continue to search the way you need to search, so that way you can get to a place where you're okay with yourself, right? Do the work that's necessary, right? So with that being said, right, what is shadow work? What is the shadow selves, right? So all of us have negative parts of us, right? Things that are done in the shadow realm, if you may, right? And parts of us that we never share with other people. Things that we do in our own privacy, that if a person was to look at us, we might say to ourselves, you know what, they probably don't even want to be around us because of the behaviors that realm offers, right? And a lot of times the reason why it's good to learn those parts of yourself is because it is a part of us, right? And the more work you do in that realm to be able to work in a way where you can progress and evolve, is for you to be in touch with shadow work and to identify the shadow parts of yourself. So we have lust. We have that part of us that talks about the 7 deadly sins that's included in that greed, that lust. We have those uncontrollable rages that we have. And when you don't take care of those things that live in the shadow realm, right, and you ignore them, they grow bigger. And you will find yourself being angry into a rage where you are so oppositional, defiant, the word that people love to label, where you get locked up in an institution for bad behavior, unaddressed bad behavior, right? You have to go to the root of the situation. Why do I continue to act this way? What is it that I do that makes me act a certain way? What are my triggers? And why do I always find myself being so short-tempered to a place where I just want to rage? Because some people are like that. You have to find out what it is, right? Part of shadow working is journaling. Write down certain things. Man, you know what? I told a person, right? I was talking to a person and they were telling me about their trust issues. And I said, well, do you feel that your trust issues are so deep that even that, you know what, you will be even uninhibited or restrained to even work with me. And it was like, yeah, because I don't even know you. I said, well, you know what, start journaling that. Write down, hey, I have a trust issue, problem, or situation. And I have one with Angel. And the reason why I have one with Angel, and write down what it is. Use me as an example. Start down. Because I said, that's a block. That's a block. And if we can't move past that, then I can't do anything for you. Right? Journaling is very important, because once you connect thoughts, ideas, and things that you visualize in your mind, from mind to pen to paper, and you're putting it down, you're physically now seeing what it is that you are putting out now. This gives you the opportunity to now work on what it is that's within you, because now you get to see it for yourself. Listen, man, when we talk about being spiritually transformed, and we talk about being in a place where you want to be more evolved in your spirit, like, I implore all of that. Like, I accept a person who wants to do that, right? And you can ask all the people that we work with, me and Gil, right? But I also tell them, I say, you know what, it's not all that spiritual thing that you always see out there that people that tell you. We're talking about, you have to be in a place where you have to work on yourself. Because if you can't work on yourself, then how could you help other people, right? How could you do that? How could you be in an assistance to other persons in need of help when you really can't help yourself out? And think about it, right? The real thought about it is that if you're called, and you know that you're called to help someone, or to help other people, or you feel like there's something different about you, and you chose a certain way to find that energy that now you want to plug into, right? Shadow work, right? Balance the negative with the positive. Put everything in a balance, right? The reason why is, and I always talk about this, man, you can get positive results by working on your negative parts of you, right? Think back to mathematics with integers and how we do our negative numbers with our positive numbers, and we find the ways to get positive answers. It's the same way with yourself, right? Work on the negative parts of yourself. Shadow work, right? Include your candle work with that. Like, work on yourself. Like, this is how you develop your spiritual frame, right? This is how you learn how to work with your spirit guides. The more you get more involved and more in tune with who you are. You want to know why you can't connect with people? Then go inside. Ask those questions of yourself. What is it that is blocking you so much that you can't even form valuable relationships with other people? That's very important, because even though there is an honest part of us that we do work well alone, and there are certain things that we have to be independent of in this world system, we do need each other, right? Which is very important. So we do form external relationships with other people, right? But you have to learn how to first build a very healthy foundation with yourself, so that way when you go to seek these external relationships, you don't have to question yourself about this person, right? You can walk in knowing that because of who you are, no matter what it is this person brings to the table, right? You're okay because you're well grounded with yourself, and you know how far you could take this relationship. Listen, at the end of the day, what's really important is that you preserve yourself, because when you look at it, how I view things for myself is that everything is critical, everything is crucial for me. So the one time I mess up, like, I'm gonna learn a lesson that maybe I really didn't even have to participate in, right? But how do I do this? How do I learn those lessons lesser? Those lessons lesser, right? How do I learn them fewer and fewer times, right? By building my foundation, by maintaining, by constantly doing shadow work, right? Like, building yourselves. Shadow work really is self-therapeutic, man. Like, even when you're in a place where you want to do some shadow work, remember, like, always consecrate an area, because you're talking about going within yourself to do the work that's necessary to free yourself, so that way you can be more spiritual, so you can be more enlightened, so you can be more connected to the energies that you deal with, right? If this is the route that you choose, right? Shadow work is about evolving in a way that you can really learn how to pull out that spirit of discernment, that spirit of discernment that you walk around with, right? How you can fine tune that area, so that way every time you talk to a person, right, you don't even have to judge, but you know how to hear a person and everything about what's coming out of their mouth, and be in a place where you're not even bothered. You're not even bothered, bro, by what they bring to you. And you know what? Whatever they bring to you, they already know that, you know what, they can't even come there. Because the way you fine tune yourself by doing shadow work, right? It's always good to ask about how to do this and how to do that, but my most important things is always working on self, right? Because if you're not working on self, believe me and trust me, something is always working on you. The moment that you're not working on self, trust and believe, right? Something is working on you. The other thing is, right, ancestor work is always important. That's another way to learn yourself. Yes, you could always talk about wanting to work with this and learning how to work with that, because you come with that. But if you fine tune yourself and you learn yourself, especially through shadow work, journal is very important. When you're journaling, make sure that you create a sacred space for yourself. Take this opportunity to say that, you know what, this place, even if you're married, every couple should still find a way where they separate so they can build their own self up. So that way, if you're charged 100%, imagine that if you're in a relationship and you go off and you charge yourself up 100%, so that way you can come back to your unit. Imagine that charge between how you and that other person, when y'all both comes at 100%, where y'all went to your own very sacred spaces, because we all have that place. Maybe the person that you with deals with the energy and the element of fire so much more better than you do, right? Maybe your element is air, and when you're in the air, you work so much more better. So that's where a place where you go a place where you know it's nice and wide and it's open, and you know what, it's airy. And so you have that connection with the breeze, and you're in touch with that, and that's where you do your best work at, right? And maybe your partner is a person that loves the fire element, so where they go is that there's like some fire, and they like candles, and they like all of the elements that deal with fire, right, and heat, and they work with steam and whatever it is that they work with to make sure that their energy level is at 100 bars, right? And then when y'all come back and y'all both 100 bars, imagine the possibilities of how you and this person come together and connect, so that way y'all can be that one unit, right? One and one making two, one and one two, but two making one still is one body, right? But you always have to do that shadow work. Like, go off into a place where everything is okay for you. You know, it's very important that when you're journaling, and like I said, the sacred place that you have, if you have to light a candle, right? If you burn some incense, right? If you have some aromatherapy going on, if you have your tarot cards that you use, whatever avenues that you have that you use for your own self, remember one thing that is very important. If you have clients and you're always telling them, hey, this is what I prescribe to you, and you're prescribing this for your clients and you're prescribing that, always remember, if you're not doing that, because sometimes that's what spirit prescribes to your clients for them to do, but at least make sure that you're doing something for yourself at one time. So if you're prescribing a bath for your client, make sure that you're taking baths, right? If you're a person who's using some kind of oracle like tarot to read, every now and then make sure that you read your tarot cards, refresh your tarot cards, refresh your oracle, right? If you're a person who does readings, right, and you're using whatever element that you do, make sure that every time that you're telling your clients to do something, that you're doing something that's at least similar to what it is that you're prescribing, right, to yourself as well, right? Like if you're helping other people and you're a person that when you have clients and they're coming to you for aid and assistance, right, you're helping them and you're building them up. And your role, how you feel as a person, that every time people come to me is so that way I can build them up, right? That is my gift, and that's what I use my gift for, is to help others build them up so that way they can build other people up. Then you will have to know that you always have to make sure you're always building up too, right? Because the truth is that your cup does start to run a little empty, right? So you have to go off and you have to recharge. This is why that shadow work is so important, right? Get to know yourself. A person that I know that is very important, they always told me, to thy own self be true, right? Yes, you can always give the shirt off of your back, but if you don't have any more to clothe yourself and you have no other outlets, like no other person has your size, or they don't give out their clothing, or you are like me, you don't wear other people's clothing, right? Then you have nothing to cover your back, right? You never put yourself in a place where you're not clothed or you're completely full. Make sure that you're always doing something work. That shadow work that I'm talking about will free you from yourself, bro. You won't even have a problem when anybody says anything about what you do, because you already know the story, right? And so by the time they even open up their mouth and say whatever they say about you, you already know the answer. It doesn't bother you, because you know what? Half of the time when it came out, it's not even 100, right? So they're not even talking about 100. And if they are talking about close to what it is, it still doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you have to remember that they're not focusing on what it is that they're focusing on, because right at that moment they're focusing on you, right? And so you're the star of the show. So obviously you're so important that you're being talked about. Like I tell you all, like, transform yourself spiritually, right? Because if you have businesses and you're working on new businesses, expect this. This is a given. You're going to have people who are going to talk about you. That's a given, right? You're going to have people who are going to hate on your business. That's a given. You're going to fall out with people that you didn't think you were going to fall out with. That's going to happen, right? Those things are going to happen. Expect those things. Those are not expect the unexpected. Those things do happen, right? The unexpected is when you're not doing the work that's not necessary. Going back to what I was saying, if you're not working on something, believe and trust that something is working on you, right? You always have to make sure that you're doing something that's always transforming your spirit, right? Because when you're a person who talks about being spiritually elevated, when you're a person who's talking about learning more about spiritual growth, when you're a person that's talking about being initiated into something because you feel that, you know what, this is connected to with your ancestors, you're talking about things like that. Be aware that, you know what, you're in a journey now, you're in a process now. Be aware that, you know what, you're going to feel things that you have never felt before. Be aware that sometimes it's going to be rough, right? But also understand that, you know what, the power that is in you, the power that power that is greater than you, that gave you these gifts and the ability, right, did not put so much on you that you were unable to do this. Like, yeah, your foundation is gonna rock, but when you start doing spiritual transformational shadow work, you're going to be able to rock with your foundation. You're not going to want to give up, even though, right, that unworked shadow work, that spiritual voice that talks to you, that tells you that you need to give up, or that you don't, you know what I'm saying, you can't do this, right? That unworked, that unresolved stuff, right? Because when you're in a place like that, the voices that you really should be hearing are your spirit guides, right? That positive energy. And yes, you're going to hear negativity, but trust and believe, right? We all have choices. And at the end of the day, it's like, where are you going to go? Are you going to fold, or are you going to go ahead and battle on? Because you know what? Part of who we are we are warriors, right? And I talk about this all the time. We're all warriors, man, right? Nobody said that life was going to be smooth sailing, right? I don't know that to be true for myself, right? And the people that I associate with, I don't know that in their life, right? I've never met a person yet, and I'm not saying that they're not out there, because some people do say that they have good lives, right? But I've never really met a person, bro, out there that I really have connected with that hasn't had a story. And I'm not here to exchange war stories, because we all have stories, right? But what I'm telling you is that no matter what, right, when you're in a place that you feel like you just can't hold on no more, right, and you're standing but you feel like you're about to give up, like, that's when you call on your warrior spirits, bro, right? Because that's that adrenaline, right? Physically, our kidneys release that enzyme, that protein, that adrenaline, so that we could just hold on a little bit more. Like, your grip starts to feel like it's giving up, but you got that beast power, so you're holding on a little bit more, and your arms are burning, but you're still holding on. But in the spiritual realm, right, that adrenaline that kicks up is all that work that you do when you're doing shadow work, right? So when you feel like giving up and you start calling on your warrior spirit, that's that adrenaline that comes out, right? That adrenaline that gives you that drive, that, you know what, no, I'm not going to throw in the towel. No, I'm not going to give into this. No, I'm not going to do that, right? Because at the end of the day, the promise is, if you learn it and you absorb it and you take it in and you digest it, you now become a person who has knowledge and understanding to give to another person who's out there looking for light, awareness, evolution, right? All of that same things that you were looking for. It's only for what it should be, is if you get the torch or the baton gets given to you, you only hold it for a little while, right? And your time comes when it's time for you to pass the torch on, to now pass on the baton to the next person, right? Who is ready, willing, and open to receive the same way you were. But how do you start on that? You start by dealing with your ancestors. Learn your ancestors. I always stress this, like, no matter what, and I will stress this to the day I die. Learn where you came from. Learn who your people were before they were here, before you got here. Learn those people. Learn as much. Question. Ask questions. Somebody knows something. You don't have to have pictures on your altar. You don't have to have pictures on your shrine. You don't have to have pictures on your bovada. You don't have to have pictures. You can have names. If you don't know your names, you can say all egguns, known and unknown, right? Call upon those known and unknown. I'm telling you, you light your candle, you get real simple with it. Get a glass of water, and you start meditating. You start calling on your egguns, known and unknown. Watch, I tell you, trust and believe how you feel that energy of a bunch of people just coming forward, because you are venerating and you're talking and you're asking for guidance, right? This is very important. We talk about this in our series, and if anybody wants to learn anything else more, and if you have anybody who you think is going to be worthy of information, we hold these classes, right? We are monthly classes, and our classes are geared on the information that we talk about. You cannot put the cart in front of the horse and expect to go anywhere, right? As a matter of fact, that's as funny as I think it could be, right? Where do you think you're going to go? You have to learn where you came from. Learn your ancestors. Ask as many questions in your family. I guarantee you somebody's going to know something. There's somebody in your family who likes to talk about genealogy. There's somebody who likes to that has held on to pictures, and they like talking about certain things. They know information. They know mama's recipe. They know grandma's recipe. They know certain about reasons about why granddaddy did this, why you look like this. You know what I'm saying? What connections is. Get those connections, and you're going to learn a little bit more, because somebody knows a little bit about something, right? Because one day somebody's going to come asking you about information about your ancestors, and you're going to be the one that's going to have the information. So get to know your family, even just in case. Get to know who you are, whether your family is not in agreement with each other or not, because you know what, there's reality that goes back behind when I was talking about your business. The reality is that we do have family, right? And sometimes we get together and we love each other, and that's good and that's fine and that works. And sometimes you have family that just cannot be together, and that's reality. And you know what? If you want to get caught in the middle where the feelings is at, I love to talk about this. This is going to be one of my next videos. Get out your feelings. Get out your feelings. Get out the middle of all of that, because you know what? It doesn't matter, because this is going to exist. It's going to be nice and happy, or this is going to exist. Whether you feel what you feel or not, you have no power. There's some things you just are powerless over. You have no control over, right? So for you to get in your feelings about stuff, right, makes no sense whatsoever. I'm telling you, there's no sense to getting your feelings about anything, right? The only thing that's going to happen about you getting your feelings is you're going to be salty. You're going to be salty as fuck. You're going to be iodine salt. You're going to be Himalayan salt. You're going to be sea salt. You're going to be that salt that the elephants eat, that rock salt, right? You don't want to be that. What the hell is that? Why would you want to be salty? What is saltiness going to do? It's not going to do anything. It's going to preserve. It's going to keep you preserved, prunative. Nobody wants to be a prune, bro. I'm not being a prune, right? I'm only using prunes when necessary. I'm only using salt when necessary. And I don't want to always be salty, right? So I do the shadow work that's necessary, bro. You will find yourself in a way where you know what, certain things just do not matter. And I'm going to tell you another thing, bro. This is so true. You start doing some shadow work, right? The truth is that you will change with and without your permission. I'm telling you, anytime you do any spiritual transformation, there is a truth to this. You're going to change with and without your permission. You're going to start saying to yourself, damn, you know what? I don't really feel like I want to hang with such and such. I'm not saying that such and such is a bad person, but what I'm saying is that, you know what, today I just don't feel that, because my spirit, key word, my spirit is not feeling that. I don't feel like doing this today because, you know what, my spirit just don't feel like, you know what, that's in agreement with what I'm doing, where I'm journeying at. Only you know that, right? And so when I say let's start doing the shadow work, right? We don't have to talk about anything, right? We don't have to talk about nothing, right? To thy own self be true, right? So that's a gem that I got from somebody, and I'm passing that down to you. To thy own self be true. You get butt naked with your own self, and you start looking at yourself for who you really are, in the shadow of who you really are, right? When nobody sees you, right? And you looking at yourself, and you looking at yourself, and you looking at yourself, right? And you looking at yourself. Real story, true story, and you looking at yourself. And if you feel like you okay when you looking at yourself, then you know what, maintain that, right? But if you look at yourself and you see there's areas that you need to work on, then work on them areas, right? And I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be honest, right? I never went into a point where I was like so good, right? You may be on fleek, but you know what? There's always a place of being on fleek, right? Be there. Be on fleek, right? Fuck that. Be on fleek. Over there. Like always working on something, right? It's always something to work on, bro. I learned that in just working. When I was young, and I was working at this job. It was a fast food place, right? And it was real slow. So I was standing there, so the manager comes out. He was like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, it's not really to do. He was like, there's always something to do. And he was like, you wipe down the counters, you could change this. He was like, the slow time is a good time to get things done that we really can't get done when it gets really busy. And you'll see that. And I was grateful to have a person explain it like that, because a lot of people don't explain that, but I was grateful for that to happen. And that's the same thing that you equate into your life. The slow times are the times for you to start to maintain the things that you don't get to maintain in your world, when your world starts to really start to spin, right? And you just don't get those moments, right? Yes, and I'm for it. It's like, okay, you know what? When I get a breath of fresh air, I just want to relax. True, right? But do that. Find moments and ways to do it. You can always put something in there. There's never a time where it's just too busy for something, right? You need to get that in there. Listen, I talk to a lot of people, and I hear a lot of stories, and I don't judge nobody because everybody has their own story. But I always say to myself, when I listen to a story and I listen to a person, I think about myself and I put myself in that predicament, and I try the best of my abilities to say, you know what, if that was me, you're like, how would that affect me? Where would I be? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? What could I do? You know, I try the best of my ability, and I try to listen, and I get the information that's going in there, because when you two people are talking, believe this to be true. When we talk and we're conversating, right, whether it be by phone or face to face or by video chat, wherever it is, we're talking. Even though you say, you know what, this is going on, this is crazy, I don't know whether it makes sense. The more we talk about it, we're going to get to the exact nature about it, right? And that's what we talk about. We talk about getting the exact nature of things, getting to the root core of what things really are, figuring it out, right? Sometimes you can't do that by yourself. You need somebody to help you orchestrate that, right? And another person that you trust, bro. I learned this a long time ago. Get somebody that you trust, and you start talking about some things. You don't have to talk about everything, because you know what? Some things don't really need to be discussed, but however, they do get introduced. And you know what? I'm telling you, through identification, you already gonna know how much you could talk to another person about what it is that you need to talk about, where you feel you're at a place where you could get that. But get somebody in your life. Like when you're talking about spiritual transformation, learn a person, bro, because you know what, you entrusting that person to be that spiritual person in your life that you want to go to. You want to talk about stuff like that. Like nobody's 100, but at least you know you can get to that person because you feel like you want to talk to that person, right, all the time. And you don't care, even if you walk away, you just be mad as F with that person, right? You still acknowledge and respect the views of that person and what comes out of their mouth, right? Stop blocking yourself. Stop blocking yourself. Whatever is hindering yourself, just put that right there. Acknowledge it, accept it, absorb it, and release it. Give it what it is. It's a blockage, and you know what? I don't need any blockage. Put that to the side, because when you're journeying, ing, journeying, that means movement. And if you're blocked, ed, that means that there's no movement. And so the objective is to move. Put away the things that are blocking you. If it's blocking you, it's hindering you from journeying. How could you journey and get to a place where you want to be at if you have some hindrance, right? And if you need to shadow work on that, shadow work on that. You know what I'm saying? But for the moment, right, put your blocks and your baggages down, because you're not going to be able to journey. I'm telling you, you're not going to be able to journey. You're not going to be able to move if you have EDs in your life. Get rid of the EDs. You cannot spiritually transform if you're holding on to EDs, things that have blocked you, things that have moved things into your way, things that have prevented you, things that are making you still, right? Still stuff. Start making waves. Make movement. Don't be still. Stay away from still people. People are still doing the same things over and over. Make moves. Make waves. Movement. Be in the movement. Right? When people tell me, when I say to them, hey, how you doing? They're like, well, I'm hanging in there. That's fine. That's better than giving up. Keep hanging in there. At least you're hanging. At least you didn't give up, right? At least you didn't stop the process. Hang in there. In fairy tales, the journeys were fantastic and they were awesome. In my life, they have been fantastic and awesome, right? And sometimes in the fairy tales, some of the parts of the journey weren't so beautiful. And in my life, some of the parts of the journey are not always so beautiful, right? But at the end of the day, when the book came to an end, right? Even though they went through so much of a process to get where they needed to be at, they were able to learn something from the whole journey and the whole process. Take the opportunity to learn yourself. Going back to what I said, create a sacred space. I don't care where it's at. Journal. Light your incense. Do whatever it is that you do. Welcome your spirit guides. Welcome your ancestors. And write in your journal things as they should be. So if you're saying that you want to work on some money issues in your journal, start writing these things out like they already happened already. Manifest. So people start talking about manifesting work. Manifest it into the universe. That pen and paper, manifest. And then read your work out loud into the universe when you're done. Treat your works with respect. I tell everybody, if you are connected to the Creator, if you're made from the Creator, the being that has made everything that is here, and that part of that being is within you, and it lives within you. and so that the creator is inside of you, then you have the ability to create. Once you start writing things on paper, put it into the universe. Let it hear what it is that you wrote down, what you desire. Put it into the universe. Spiritually start transforming yourself, right? Speak things into existence. There's no limits. We limit ourselves. Trust your power. Get into the shadow work. If you're having a hard time learning how to get into the shadow work, let us know. We'll help you out. It's not a difficult process to learn. There may be parts of it that's challenging, and that's alright, because when you challenge yourself, that means that you're giving yourself the opportunity to do something totally different, right? To be aware is to be alive. To be aware is to be alive. Shadow work. If there's areas in your life you want to work on, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, because if you want to be in a place where you're not hindered and you're not blocked and you're free and you're okay in here, no matter what's going out around you, you won't have to worry about being nervous and walking in this world, because the world is designed for us to see everything. The world is a conglomerate of many things. It's here to show us everything that's out here. That is its purpose, it is design, it is function. So how dare we feel afraid to be in the world? The problem is when you don't put on the armor that you're supposed to put on, the breastplate, the sword, the shield, the helmet, and you walk out there without your protection. You don't think you're going to get some lumps and bumps if you lucky? A person who does shadow work would know not to mess with the world like that, because the world has a lot to offer, and you can take that how you want. The world has a lot to offer, and what you receive and how you walk into this world and how you manifest your life into this world is by the choices that you make in this world. Key element: nobody can do you like you can do you. Nobody, right? And nobody can sabotage you. The only person that can sabotage you, man, is yourself. Every time you get into a situation where something blows up, sit somewhere with a noise and you're in the aftermath, and you can start thinking about it and realize that one point where, you know what, where did you allow this to continue to happen, right? We always play a part in something. Look at the part that you play in everything. That's the shadow work that we talk about. Own up to what it is. Shadow work will take you from a boy to a man. Shadow work will take you from a little girl to a woman, right? It will make you grow in leaps and bounds. Stop staying stuck. If you want to grow, do some shadow work, bro. Start working with your ancestors. Start working with your spirit guides. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Clean yourself. Read your decks. Prepare yourself for when you have readings for people. If you into reading scriptures, read books that bring up your elevation. Do whatever it is that's necessary to rejuvenate yourself. Tap into the energy of the Creator and come and say that you need a recharging, because we all need to be recharged. Go somewhere where you can recharge. That's only for you. Listen, I want to thank everybody for participating in our classes. I want to thank everybody for reaching out to us. I want to thank everybody who participates in our discussion rooms. I want to thank everybody who participates in our rooms, our chat rooms, right? I want to thank everybody who is taking the time to step into the journey, the process, right? Because none of this is easy. We're talking about really stepping out of the box, right? Like doing something that makes sense to us finally, right? Learn your ancestors. I'm going to drill this every time. Learn your ancestors. Without your ancestors, you have nothing. How do you know who you are if you don't learn your ancestors? Right? Do the shadow work. Shadow work is very necessary. Free yourself. And if you feel like you need a therapist behind it, then that's fine, because you know what? Shadow work is a form of therapy, if you think about it. And if you're good enough to really do the work that's necessary, do it. If you really feel, call on your warrior spirits. I told you, call on your warrior spirits. Because sometimes being a spiritualist or somebody who's elevated, it's not easy. Because you remember that we're not always spiritual people, right? We're components. We're spiritual, we're carnal. We have physical parts of us, right? Sometimes we have to take care of that. Balance yourselves. Learn to do the shadow work. If you guys need any help with the shadow work, please reach out. Shadow work is very necessary, very essential. How do you help somebody else? There's plenty of people out there, bro, that are looking for help every day. Somebody's looking for some help, and you just might be the person that can help a person. Fix your house up first, right? Charity begins at home and then it spreads abroad. Fix yourself up first. I don't care if you want to call it shadow work, whatever it is. Get your spirit aligned. Align your spirit, right? Every person who's working with us have done some spiritual work, and everybody is starting to align. I'm telling you, because you know what? It's a form of shadow work that we're doing. We're working on things, internal stuff. I know it works because the conversations that I have with these people that I'm working with, the conversations start to change, right? So I see the evidence. Work on yourself. Remember that. It is very key. Spiritual transformation through shadow work. If you have any questions, please feel free to inbox me. I'm on Facebook, Angel Cortijo. Inbox me for any questions. I can always help. If anybody who's working with us, please always contact us. Always what it is. If you want to know a little bit more about shadow work and spiritual transformation, please continue to contact us. I love you all. Thank you for listening to my take on spiritual transformation through shadow work. It's very simple, but this is what it is. It is a process that is very necessary and essential. Tap into who you really are. Free yourself. Purge yourself of the things that are necessary. Unblock yourself, right? So that way you can continue to journey. Movement. Stop staying still. Make waves. Make movements. Do yourself a favor. If you don't do anything for yourself, man, invest in your own spirit. I love you all. Thank you.